function of not having thinned those plants enough. But again, think about this. You're supposed to have 4 feet here of landscape pressure. And so what it does, it limits the airflow. It's difficult to monitor for insects when it's too bushy, when it's too big. It leads to incomplete harvest. You're going to leave some berries there, and guess what's going to happen with those berries? They rot and the bugs come in. Now, not to say that cannot happen with a 4-row layout, but as you can tell, it limits walk-through space, and believe me, it increases the plant damage. With plants leaning halfway through the aisle, you knock them off with a really easy break. So what the 4 rows will do, instead of having a 4-foot space, you'll have a 5-foot space. Raised bed. Here we go again. Mistakes we made with the first one. We never raised the bed high enough. And over time, it erodes. Yes?
I'm curious about your bed former there. So that's a homemade?
That's an Amish-made potato bed. We're surrounded by Amish. So the second high tunnel, I did it by hand, 5 rows. But it's never even enough. It's never high enough. You get tired. Yeah, that's enough. So I would recommend. I would strongly recommend 6 to 8 inches. The third high tunnel, that's what we did. If you look at any literature, they'll tell you between 18 and 24 space of your width of your rows. 24, that's a lot of space. Yeah, plants will grow eventually, but it opens up a lot of space for weeds. I prefer an 18-inch space. What it does, when you loosen your ground, this is the, after many passes, we were able to raise the bed and work them by hand. It's easier to plant because you have looser ground. It's so much better for drainage. And then, enemy number 1 of raspberries is wetness. So having a raised bed really, and you should all know this, I suspect, having a raised bed really helps drain the water. And so you have more control. And when you have humidity in the high tunnel, you cannot remove it. You can't. When it's dry, you can add water. So you want to have that control. And here's the tip here. If you can, build those prior to putting your end wall, so you have better access up and down. So. Okay, now we planned, we built it, we raised our beds. Now it's time for planting. We use bare roots from Norse Nursery in Massachusetts. I urge you to look at their website, norse.com, norsenursery.com. They are the expert, really are the expert. They have really high quality plants as well. And there's a lot of information on their website that will. There's also, I think it's from Indiana, the Hartman Company. We initially, our first 3 plants, that's where they came from. Oh, and by the way, going back to the high tunnels, I think that I read there's like 20 manufacturers, 20 distributors of high tunnels in the Midwest. So there's plenty to choose from. There's the well-known, these guys, they're also Farmtech, I believe. Pretty expensive, and I'm sure it's really good. We have, this is just an Amish supplier locally that we have. And there's a company in Amish or a Mennonite-based company in Polk County that it's called CBS. Don't look for the website. Don't look for the website. I do have one. And we buy it through this guy. And I'll go over the cost later on. So, again, plenty to choose from in terms of right there. Okay, 5 more minutes. I recommended spacing 16 to 18. I would go to 16 because you're going to experience probably a 5% loss on the plants. So I'm trying to defy Komodo nature. And then the 4 rows, which we put about 230 plants.
What's the width of your pipeline?
30. 16, 18, the plants being planted. Irrigation. Again, this is another area that we've learned over the years. Initially, we would put one drip line. Over time, we decided to put two with a 6-inch diameter, so that you really drench the thing when you run it, and it's just provide a faster irrigation. And also, we have very, very high pressure. We don't have regulators, so one line, I've blown a lot of lines because there's too much pressure. So that alleviates that. And what it does is, particularly if you go with a 2-foot space bed, one line in the center, typically water about 6-inch in diameter. Of course, it goes deep because it drips there all the time. But you will have some spot that remain dry, so, and you don't want overhead. So having 2 lines well spaced, you'll be sure to cover everything from the watering standpoint and also from that fertilization.
Is that about 9 inches apart?
6-inch.
6 inches?
You have to share it between 6, 12, and 24. I mean, you mean, yes, I think, yeah.
It's like about 9 inches, give or take.
And, you put it along your plant, so. And of course, we put straw initially, just to keep the moisture down, and minimize weeds, so, it worked well. Really happy with that, correct? Weed control, that's a huge, huge thing compared to field berries, and I'll show you examples. We use landscape fabric. It's easy to install. It's highly durable. It's porous, so the water will go through. It really helps maintenance when you trim your plants at the end of season or and groom that very easily. It retains, and that has pros and cons. It retains heat and moisture. Particularly moisture may not be as good because of fungus issues. And we have a high tunnel right now that does not have that. It's extremely dry, really dusty. So that cuts down on that, and it eliminates weeds altogether. I mean, if I spend 2, 3, 4 hours weeding a year, that's it. And then you weed in your rows and perhaps some weeding on the side. So it's relatively expensive. It's about $200 to one, and the plastic comes in different width, 4, 6, and beyond. And again, it's very easy to install. However, so if you're bought at the expense, because once you start adding all the expenses, you'll see at the end it gets to be quite expensive. Think about all the alternatives when you have to weed. Does that have the story there? That used to be our field berries, and we had to go through this every year, spring, and then one more time in July, and we should have done it a 3rd time in the fall. So this is how it looks. Again, I'm comparing field berries to high tunnels, so perhaps it's not a fair comparison, but we used to spend a tremendous amount of time weeding. So I think this trellising. Any questions so far? That's clear, yes.
Could you go back a slide, please, or do one more? That one. So is this where you made the mistake in adding 5 rows?
I'm sorry?
Is that your 5-row example? You said it should have been 4?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That's a mistake.
So those ones are 4 feet, your landscape fabric is 4 feet, but you
Got it.
should be 5
Well, yeah.
on the ones that you,
Yes,
ideally,
correct.
okay.
Yeah, that's a mistake. Although it's producing like crazy. You can get like 2,000 pints out of that baby, right? But ultimately, if I have to do it again, and that's what we did with the 4th one, with the 3rd one, it went 4 feet. It took me 2 times to figure it out, but okay, trellising, that's a must. I mean, this is one of those things you cannot avoid. And again, avoid the same mistakes we made, and I did not elaborate on the mistakes we made visually. But we began with a T-bar. Oh yeah, T-post. 2 at the end with an anchor down the ground. So those end up being 4 feet. So then one more in the center and one at the end. Well, plants grew to be this tall, so they were not held. And then that anchor down to the ground was very dangerous, trying to step over that. And ultimately, we had to add in between. You'll be surprised, and you'll see that, you'll be surprised the weight that berries add to your plants and to a trellis. So, again, considering the plants can reach 6 to 8 feet, you need to account for that, which we did not the first year, never thought. Again, you'll see the Joan Jay, the one we grow, they say 4 to 6 feet, and we're about 5 feet, which should be okay. Well, the plants turn out to grow 6 to 8 feet. So, please take advantage of our mistakes in the past. The plants really need to be supported. And because you're limited by space, width-wise, you really have to train them to be within those. So it's critical. So I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts of that. So ultimately, what we do is we put down, again, this is the 5-row, a 4x4 post, 10 foot tall, and I don't know if you can see here, right here, there's a little island up there that's really connected to the high tunnel. That's how we added the tension to it. Then we have these lateral braces, preferably 4 sets per. We only have 3 here, so we basically 1, 2, 3. We would have probably had 1 more down here. In the midsection, this is kind of drawn. We have additional posts every 20 feet. And again, initially the first year we put 1 in center, thinking that would be enough. But really the weight of the plants onto the pencil wire is too much. So basically I'm only showing 2 here, but you want to add 3 of those to really keep your plants in the row, to prevent what you saw earlier, the picture that you saw earlier, where the plants all over the place. The braces are about spaced 18 inches height-wise. And then the wire that we have here is a thin sole, it's like the pants type, 16 gauge, I believe. What we do is we put it 18 inches down. So the plant part under. Yes. Well, and you'll see the height. I mean, these are screwed to your 4x4. They can be adjusted. But your first one, you put 18 inches, so you force your plants to go in narrow space. And the top one, you may want to do that 20 inches, so there's a little bit more space, so your plants really open up. So the sun can come through. One thing is I've never gone through, but I've got to do it. Oh. These here. Now, so pretend you see this, you have this wire. Your plants, because they grow 6 to 8 feet, and depending on the variety, some of them 3 weeks, it will lean that way, and it will lean within the rows themselves, badly. So, in some fashion, it's not a bad idea every foot or so to put a side brace of some kind. It could be an old drip line that you can attach. It could be twine, baling twine, whatever it is, so that your plants just grow there and it don't fall down. Make sense? And believe me, depending on the variety, that's what's going to happen. Yes?
And then you're using the T-posts except for the ends. Is that what you're doing?
Correct.
Okay.
And not 5 foot ones, but 7 foot ones. Now, yes.
Just a thought, I mean, and first, are you pruning back to a certain number of liters per plant?
Yes,
or
yes.
How many, I just, it's part of the question.
Oh, 6, 7?
I'm just curious if there's any thought, or you know of anybody who's taken advantage of the structure you have overhead to, you know, trellis from above, almost like you would tomatoes or cucumbers or something like that.
I thought about that, and I haven't thought hard enough to do it. Yes, because of your braces and your furrows, you probably could do something. I've been thinking about it.
Structurally, it probably is not designed for.
Well, yes, you're right. It depends, because this is kind of whimsy up there. It's not very strong. But I don't think it would add that much weight to it. But that works. Again, why not stick with what works, right?